That's awesome. In one hole, that's awesome. With the string still attached, man, that's awesome. Yeah, baby, that's awesome. What you got there is a bayonet. You don't see that often, but that's awesome. Hello, everybody. I'm here today to lay rest some of the questions we've been having about the V3I on the forum. People want to know what kind of depth it's getting, and I got something right here in the hole. We're going to measure it out. We're going to look at the settings on the V3I. This is not a test garden. This is down in the Confederate camp that I've been hunting. This is just to show you what we can do with this machine. All right, let me take the earphones out here. So here's our settings. Let's see our sensitivity settings. You can see I got this RX gain on 6, my all metal 55, and my discriminate on 90. Okay, and that is with TX boost off. My ground filter, I'm running in the 5-band filter. My recovery delay is 80. Got my SAT turned down to 5. My ground tracking is, I'm ground balanced, but my tracking is actually off. I prefer to hunt with my tracking off. Sometimes it seems like the detector runs a little more stable when I turn the track locked. It's in the normal mode. And in my search audio, I'm actually hunting in the mixed mode. So with the mixed mode, I've seen even at 55 on the all metal. Let me turn this thing off just a second so we can hear. What I found is that you get better depth in the all metal mode. But anyway, let's see what we can get right here on this target in the hole here. That's in the all metal mode. It's hitting on all metal, not really hitting in discriminate mode, but I would dig that. If I was out in the field hunting, I would dig that signal. It's showing up about 9 inches on the 8.5, 9 inches on the detector. Okay, now let's see if we can turn the boost on. Sensitivity, boost on. Let's see if we can get a sound with her. That's with boost on. Just a choppy. Now let's gauge the hole. You can see the hole here, how deep it is already. This trowel is got a 6-inch mark on it, right there on the back. There's your 6-inch mark, and I'd say this hole right now is coming up right close to the top of the handle, so you can add another 3 inches there. We're right at 9 inches right now. Let's just scoop some more dirt out. Okay, I see it there, right in the bottom of the hole. There's the mini ball, if you can see it. It's nearly nose up. Right there it is. And this trowel, where it was laying, is a good 9 inches, maybe 10, I don't know. So if there's any questions on what the V3I can do, one of the biggest things I found about the V3I is you don't have to run the sensitivity turn all the way up. I did the same thing, and I think that it's a mistake that a lot of people, if not most people, make when they get this detector. You jack that sensitivity way up there, thinking you're going to get the most out of the depth capabilities of this machine, and what you actually do is you drive yourself crazy because it's going haywire, beeping at everything, you know, from EMI to ground minerals. The thing that I found is you turn the RX gain down. You saw in this video where I got the sensitivity on the AC and the DC set where I feel like they perform the best, and also the RX gain. Man, don't be afraid to turn that RX gain way down. I've hunted down with it on 2 or 3 just to get that stability. And what I found is that the RX gain doesn't have a whole lot to do with the overall depth. The AC and the DC sensitivity affects those settings the most. So what I like to do is, you saw the DC sensitivity set at 55. You know, you don't have to jack that up there to 675. What I've noticed, between 55 and 75, all you get is a lot of noise, not really any more depth. You get the same depth at 55 as you do 75, except that the threshold will actually be a little softer when you go across that target. But if you're listening and you're concentrating, you're definitely going to hear it, so you're not going to miss that target. Don't think that turning that sensitivity up is going to get you more. Also, on the discriminate sensitivity, you saw that I had it jacked up to 90, and I'll even run that higher. Just depends on how much noise I'm getting, like when I'm hitting the detector coil on the ground or on the weeds or whatever. If it's giving off beeps, I'll turn that back a little bit. But 90 seems to be pretty stable, especially with that RX gain turned down a little bit. The RX gain, normally I'm at 6 or 7. I have turned it all the way down to 2 or 3 with really no loss of depth. I've done extensive air testing, extensive garden testing, and extensive field testing. It's an awesome machine. Now I'll tell you one other thing that I found that really affects your performance. It wasn't by accident that White's put the 5-band filter on the Deep Silver program. From the 5-band filter to the 10-band filter, where White's has it preset for like your relic mode or whatever, that filter is actually used for higher minerals, and you may have to use it at times. But I always start with that lower filter, that 5-band filter, because what I found, man, you gain at least 3 inches of depth from 5-band to 10-band. And so I always start out in that 5-band mode. And there's a lot of other little nuances of this machine that I've figured out by all the testing I've done. But I'm getting very comfortable with this machine. And this video here, I just showed you 10 inches on that mini ball, loud and clear, the all metal mode. Anybody would dig that, especially if you was out in a place where you knew there was things. And then on the discriminate mode, I had to put it in boost mode to actually get the choppy sounds. But we're talking a 10-inch mini ball with the gain set at 6. What I like to think of it as is having $100 in your pocket when you only need 50. If you ever get into a position where you need that extra 50, you'll have it right there in your hands. These settings may or may not work for you. I'm just doing this video to maybe help somebody out, but these are the settings that I use 9 out of 10 times when I hit the woods. And if I can adjust it up a little, I may do that. But pretty much my DC and AC sensitivity stay right there. If I can push RX gain up just a bit, I will. But more than likely, you'll catch me turning that TX boost on before I push the gain higher. Especially if I swap filters and have to go to that 10 or 12 filter, because the depth I lose there from the 5 to the 10 or 12, you can gain some of that back using the TX boost. So turn that gain down a little bit so you can use that boost. You'll be happy you did. You can see what it can do. Don't be afraid of this machine. Learn it and be confident. After I got back to the house and was editing the video, getting ready to upload it, I saw that the video in the field could have created some confusion on the settings. And like, for instance, the SAT setting. The reason I run with that SAT low, it affects only the all metal mode, and that stands for self-adjusting threshold. If you have that set too high and you're moving along with a slow sweep speed, which you should be using that 5-band filter, you know, there's a chance that a really deep target, the threshold will actually retune faster than you can actually hear the target. And so when you run that SAT real low or even off, it does make the threshold more sensitive to change. If you do run that low or even off, you can just pull the trigger and it retunes it, because you got to have that threshold in tune at all times to keep it from getting louder and louder. But I generally run with my sat low or even off. And another thing, I noticed that when we were running the detector back and forth across the target, that there wasn't a whole lot of V3I information on there, and that's because the target was so deep. Generally what I do, I always go by the sound. If I hear a repeatable signal in all metal or discriminate and there's nothing showing up on the V3I or up on the spectrograph, that's generally because it's too deep to register correctly or accurately. I always dig those signals. And so if you're running along and you get a beep in either mode and you look down and nothing's going on the graph, then that means really deep target, and those are always worth digging. One other thing that I wanted to mention about the sensitivity of the V3I, some people just can't hunt in the all metal mode, because I'm telling you, the V3I will pick up just bird pellets out of a shotgun hole. If you're looking, let's just say for instance you're hunting over an old dove field or something where people's been shooting shot shells a lot at those dove, that V3I see every bit of that. It's really difficult to hunt in some areas in the all metal mode, and so you have to go into the discriminate. But what you should do, what I do, is I always make a reference when it's discriminating something out, because on the spectrograph it'll register a rejected target, and that'll let you know that there could be a good target beside or underneath that rejected target. And so you might want to slow down and make sure that you're hunting in a good slow discriminate pattern in those areas where there's lots of metal.